I'm still going to say trash. I'm still going to say trash. 40 years and 13 films later, we finally have another conclusion to the Halloween franchise, and today we are ranking those from my least favorite to my most favorite, and once I get these films into their proper tier lists, then I will rank them from my absolute least favorite to my most favorite, and switch some things around. So let's get into my ranking for the entirety of the Halloween franchise. And before we get started, if you want to hear my in-depth thoughts for each and every film, I do have reviews for all 13 films in the Halloween franchise, so I go totally in-depth to the cast, the characters, directing, all that stuff. And quickly going through these tier lists here, we have Perfect up at the top. These are the Halloween films that don't need anything changed about them. They are utterly perfect, and they should never be touched, ever. Under that, we have Great. These are the Halloween films that I think are great and that maybe just have a few issues here and there. Under that, we have Not Too Shabby. These are the films that might not necessarily be the greatest or have the most, attachment to, but I can find some enjoyment throughout. And then under that, we have Guilty Pleasure. This is obvious. These are the films that really aren't that good in the franchise, but I myself can still find enjoyment in them. And then the lowest tier, we have Trash. These are the films in the Halloween franchise that I truly don't find enjoyment in, and I probably won't ever rewatch any of the films that end up in the trash tier section. And with that being said, we are going to go through the release order date. So we're starting with John Carpenter's 1978 classic, Halloween. Honestly, I'm not going to drag this out any longer than it needs to be. This one is perfect. There's nothing else I need to say about Halloween that other people haven't already said. So yes, Halloween is perfect. I might just say it now. I do think it'll be the only film on this list that ends up making it to the perfect tier. Up next, we have Halloween 2, which honestly, after watching it for the first time this year, I gotta say it's great. It's not perfect. I'm not a huge fan of the brother-sister twist, but again, I had known about that going into it. I had known about it for years to come. I just hadn't pushed myself to watch the film. And after watching it, it was a fun time, and I didn't have any idea that this picked up directly after the events of the first film. So it was really cool to watch these back-to-back and have it kind of be just a one-off, one-piece film, which honestly, if they just had Halloween 1 and Halloween 2, I think Michael Myers and his iconicness could have potentially grown even bigger than to what it is today. Up next, we have a controversial one with Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. I'll say what most people have said. Yes, as a Halloween film, this film does not work, and if it were just Season of the Witch released on its own, it probably would have been a Halloween classic that people love today. It definitely has grown its small cult following, but it's not a film for me. I don't love the story. It's really slow. If anything there's to take away from it, it's the kills are really well done, but again, doesn't do much for me. So I'm going to go ahead and put Halloween 3, Season of the Witch in... I'm going to go ahead and putting it in Guilty Pleasure, because it's not something that I don't personally want to rewatch anytime soon, but again, those kills are really, really fun. Next up, I'm honestly going to go through these three fairly quickly because I'm not a huge fan of the Thorn trilogy. I watched the entirety of the franchise, the whole franchise, all 13 films this year for the first time, and I gotta say, over the half of the franchise just does not mesh with me, and they're just films that I genuinely don't like. I don't think they're enjoyable. And Halloween 4 is almost on that list. I think Halloween 4 is a good return with Michael Myers, and it does have some okay kills. Again, Jamie Lloyd I don't find interesting at all, but with that being said, I'll still put it in Guilty Pleasure. Halloween 5, this one, honestly, I'm just going to say it right now, this is the first of our trash. This one is awful. Halloween 5 and 6, honestly, I'm just going to put them both right here. They are both really, really bad films. You've got the Man in Black set up in Halloween 5, and then they explore it in 6, and it's a nightmare. It's something that I didn't want to see in the Halloween franchise. I know most people don't like these films. So yeah, I'm not alone with this, but wow, Halloween 5 and Halloween 6 are not good. And then moving on to H2O. This is where the franchise really turned things around, obviously. I like the conclusion with Laurie and Michael. I like that she actually does kill him, but then that is obviously retconned in Halloween Resurrection with Laurie dying in the opening that. So, just basing these films off of my personal liking and how I would like them. This is not including all of the timelines and the way that they're supposed to be viewed. These are just the films that I like, and I guess, little bits and pieces of what I like about them. So H2O it's a fun return. I'm probably going to say it's great. Actually, you know what? I'm going to say not too shabby. I think it's not too shabby because a lot of the side characters in that film, I just don't remember. The only one I really remember is LL Cool J, just because it's LL Cool J. And I would put it under Halloween 2 just because Halloween 2 is so definitive. And moving on to most people's probably hated film in the franchise with Halloween Resurrection, it's got some fun. I'm still gonna say trash. I'm still gonna say trash. I don't care for Tyra Banks or Busta Rhymes. The whole video camera plot line in the reality TV show just does nothing for me. So yeah, Halloween Resurrection is going to end up in trash. Now these next two we're also going to get through very quickly. Halloween and Halloween 2, directed by Rob Zombie. I gotta say, Halloween 2 had some cool elements, and both of these films have really, really well done kills. I'm not a huge fan of the kills because sometimes I don't like seeing what certain things they're showing. But Halloween 2007, I don't think is absolute trash. I would probably watch this over Halloween 5 and Curse of Michael Myers, just because, although I don't want to see the human side of Michael Myers explored, at least it does an okay job at exploring that. Again, I don't like this film, I don't own this film, and I will never own this film, but if I had to pick, I would watch this over Halloween 5 and Halloween 6. Now, Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, that's a different story. This film is really, really slow. The only character that I feel like I really enjoy is Brackett, played by Brad Dourif, the voice of Chucky. Honestly, he's fine. Everybody else is fine, but the script is just not there. I don't care. I don't care about Michael speaking. I don't want to see Michael's face. So I'm going to go ahead and put this one under Halloween 5 for now. Okay, now we have the final three, the David Gordon Green trilogy. Okay, Halloween 2018. I'm going to go ahead and say it. Halloween 2018 is great, and I will put it above Halloween 2. I think Halloween 2018, yes, it does have a few pieces in there that just don't quite work, specifically with the knockoff Loomis and the comedy, which is most people's complaints about Halloween 2018. But overall, I think that final conclusion with Michael looking up through the flames, I thought that was awesome. And then you get his breath in the end credits, leaving it, to be wondered. Is he dead? Is he dying down there? Does he make it out? And I kind of like that ending for Michael and that ending for Laurie, where she gets to go do her own thing. She's going to go to the hospital, get fixed up. She's going to go live her life. Karen's going to go live her life and have to now deal with the trauma of losing her husband. But even then, I really enjoyed Halloween 2018, and I really like it every time I watch it. Every time I've watched it since the original release, I've had a really fun time with it. Moving on to Halloween Kills, though, this is where this trilogy obviously dips. The story in Halloween Kills is not good. I think the first 20 to 25 minutes are actually phenomenal. I think there's some of the best pieces of Halloween content we've ever gotten within that first 20 to 25 minutes. The second you meet the couple flying the drone inside their house, the movie just takes a massive dip, and that is where I think from then on through the end of Halloween Ends, you really don't have much enjoyability with the Halloween franchise. So Halloween Kills, I will say, yes, the kills are awesome, but again, it just goes on for too long. There's like an hour where I just feel like nothing's happening, and then the ending is fine, but again, the hour in between just doesn't satisfy me. It's not worth the watch. I don't like the whole mob hospital sequence. It's just not good. So with that being said, I'm going to put Halloween Kills right under H2O, because I do think H2O has a better story. I mean, it clearly has a better story. But if I'm going to pick between the two, it's either I'm going to look for Laurie to kill Michael in a super badass definitive way with H2O, or I'm just looking for people to get Michaeled. So yeah, and now finally moving on to Halloween Ends, I gotta say, this was a massive disappointment. If you want to see my full review, that review is out now. Halloween Ends does not work. The first 10 minutes really, really work. There's pieces in there that really, really work. There's even themes that they explore, like the new ideas that they explore that I think could have been explored had they been introduced in 2018 or Kills. And yeah, they just had so many opportunities to really make a good trilogy, and even with the ideas within this film, they could have made an awesome Halloween trilogy and an awesome ending to Laurie and Michael, but that's not what we got. I do not feel satisfied with this film. It's really a shame because this year has been such a good year for horror, but then you get to the one that started it all, Michael Myers, and you get to his final conclusion, and it's just not worth it. It was so unsatisfying. Laurie took him down extremely easily, and then the fact that it's just a ripoff of Christine is not okay. But with all of that being said, I will say, although I don't like Halloween Ends, I still think I find more enjoyment with Halloween Ends than I do any of these 5 films below, which might be controversial, might not be, but you look at that, that's right about the halfway mark in the franchise. So I don't think that's too bad for ranking Halloween Ends halfway through the franchise. But again, 13 films deep, and you're giving us Halloween Ends, which has been extremely controversial. I don't think this is the franchise to be controversial with anymore. I think there was a time and place. I don't think that place or time is anymore. With that being said, Halloween Ends doesn't have the right to be as bad as it was. It really should have been 4 or 5 times better because it was not enjoyable, and it was very forgettable. I will say, yeah, I remember the kills, but other than that, this film is so boring. And with that being said, I gotta say, the Halloween franchise should not be a franchise. It should have just been Halloween, maybe even Halloween 2, and then you could have done the anthology with Halloween 3. And it could have been, or I guess it could have still been a franchise, but not necessarily with Michael. That's what I think about the Halloween franchise. I don't find half of these films really that enjoyable. I mean, if you include Halloween 4 and Season of the Witch into that trash category, because both of those films are films that I don't ever need to see again, but if somebody asked to watch them, I would watch Season of the Witch or Halloween 4. I would. But with that being said, I still think you can kind of push them down into the trash category for me personally, and that's 8 films in a franchise with 13 films. And I genuinely only think 3 of them are really that good. 2 of them are fun to watch. So this is just overall not a successful franchise in my opinion. I know successful means money, box office, all that stuff. But from a storytelling standpoint, this franchise, along with Star Wars, along with, heck, I mean, the more current one with the Marvel Cinematic Universe and DC movies, and all of these franchises have taken dips. They just need to take the signs and say, okay, we're done with this franchise and moving on. But I don't think they will ever do that for Michael. I give it 5 to 10 more years, probably 7, before they reboot the franchise again. So that's my ranking for the Halloween franchise. Sorry it wasn't more interesting. Sorry I didn't have much more to say. If you want to hear my thoughts, in-depth thoughts on each and every film, I have reviews for every single film in the franchise, so you can go see that. But yeah, this franchise just isn't for me. But with that being said, after I watch the Friday the 13th franchise, I will be going through, reviewing all those films, and then ultimately ranking all of the horror icons based on who I think is the most iconic, who most resonates with me, why I watch their films, things like that. So very excited for future videos to come. I'm Carter Scotland Allen, and I will see you guys later. Peace.